This is a quick warm up for the upper body. We're going to be opening up the chest, the shoulders. We'll be working some stuff into the arms and some of the rotators of the shoulder. This just feeds into better movement patterns, better balance across the shoulder girdle, into the rib cage, into the neck, the jaw. We're going to be just doing a quick warm up, but we will be touching kind of all of these areas in relationship to one another. So let's get started. We're going to actually start on our belly, and we'll reach the arm away. So before I lay into it, I just want you to think elbow is going to be away from essentially like nipple line, sternum, but this angle gets us into a little bit of this deeper like pec minor zone. If you're just straight out from your body, there tends to be kind of like a popping forward of the shoulder, and we're not going to get this nice open space that we're looking for. So when you're on your belly, and I'll walk you guys through this, you're going to try to really reach that away, and you're going to try to keep that line of connection as we deepen the stretch. So we'll get going. Start on your belly. I'm going to face you this way. I'm just going to show you. So I'm going to reach my left arm away from me. I'm just flat on my belly. I'm going to let my head rest. And then as I slide my left hand away, I'm just going to peek out at it and make sure that I'm slightly higher than my shoulder. I'm going to try to keep my shoulder head off of the floor as I walk my fingertips out away from the back of my shoulder. Okay, and then I'll just start to roll onto my side. And as I roll onto my side, if you don't have a whole lot of space there, that's okay. If it's a really intense stretch, don't worry. You don't have to go as far as I'm going. This is just a good place to start. So the neck is nice and long. You want to try not to have it hanging down towards your chest, but kind of sprouting out of the rest of your spine. Okay, and my right hand is just kind of my standing hand. As I walk my hand away, I'm just bending my knees as I roll over onto my left side and breathe. I call this a warm-up, but it's really kind of more of a deep stretching. So it could be used for a warm-up or a cool down. It's a little bit deeper than a warm-up would be. And then go ahead and slowly roll yourself back to center. And I'm going to show you guys the right side from the other angle. So just so you can see, my right hand's going to come out. I'm right hand dominant, and I did play softball. So my arms are a bit out of balance. I have a very, very dominant right side. So this side will be tighter. Okay, so when I roll, I want you to just see if you can notice how my shoulder will want to tip forward because of the tension in the front of my shoulder. I'm going to really work hard to keep my shoulder head up while I slide my elbow away from my chest. Okay, and I'll just walk my fingers out as I roll onto my side. Nice long neck. Woo, that's tight. And then I'm just going to try to settle into it, bending the knees. Knees can come forward like fetal position, or you can work to go back. Biggest thing is if the knees kind of slide back and the feet go towards your butt, is to try not to back bend, like bringing your belly forward. You know, try to keep your belly kind of packed back towards your lumbar spine. I'm just going to breathe here because this is really intense. Breathe in. And breathe out. Let your breath flow into the tight places. Breathe in. When you breathe out, see if you can let go of something. And then as you're here, so for me, again, I'm right hand dominant. So I'm going to push my hand down into the floor like 20% to just engage some of the tension that I feel around the chest. I'll hold that for about 10 seconds as I push down. And then I'll gently release the push down and try to slide more tissue away from my chest out through my elbow. Continuing to breathe. One more time, push the hand down. You can do this on the other side too, just engage and disengage. And then you can use your breath, release the push down. Use your breath as if you were like brushing knots out of your hair. Then you just put your breath right into where you feel sensation. And as you exhale, imagine kind of untying some knots in the muscle tissue and the fibers of the fascia.
Melt, melt, melt. And then when you're ready, slowly, return to center. And then we'll come up just for a moment. Push yourself up. Okay, and then we're gonna just address the lat and tricep area. So we'll go left arm first. We're gonna reach up and back with the left arm, but we're gonna start at a very close to the body place. So in anatomical terms, the shoulder is more what we call proximal to the body, and the hand is distal. So it's basically distal means distance away from center. Proximal is in approximation to center. So all you're gonna do is take your left arm out and you're gonna spin the palm up, but really try to make it happen at the shoulder, so not just the wrist. Okay, so I'm gonna spin the palm up. My tricep is gonna face the ground, and then I'm gonna bend my elbow and just think of kind of like a little excavator, the little heavy equipment operator. You're gonna slide the hand down towards the back of your shoulder blade while the elbow slides up towards the ceiling. And you can use your opposite hand to help you. Biggest thing here, there's a couple things. We want to try not to let any part of the spine fall forward. So one compensation would be in the head falling forward. If we're really tight there in the lats, we're going to try to keep our head upright. The other compensation would be the rib cage popping way forward to kind of borrow space in the lat. So we're going to try to keep ourselves nice and straight in the spine and just work the arm up and over. Okay, so as I work the arm up and over, I'm trying to slide my tricep up and out of my back pocket. And then once I have this nice strong kind of tension wound up, the one place where I am going to take my spine off center is going to be to the side. Okay, so I'm not going to go forward or back really with my spine, but I am going to start to go sideways. I'm going to lift my left elbow up out of my pocket, out of my waist, and I'm going to try to push my rib cage off into that space where my armpit's reaching away from. Okay, and so you can do this in kneeling like I am. If you do it in kneeling, go ahead and try to tuck your pelvis underneath you. Lift your head up against it and really work to push those ribs out. Breathe in. I'm kind of losing length here. Breathe out. I'm going to get a little taller. It's going to wind up the tissue more. It's more of a fascial stretch. And then nice and slow, come back to center. Release the arm. Release the neck. Breathe in. Then we'll go to the other side. So right arm, you're going to take it. You're going to try to roll it from the proximal end, which is the shoulder. Okay, and then you're going to keep that wind up. So when you go to bend your elbow, try not to let it spin out the other way. You're going to try to keep it here. Okay, and then when you're ready, lift up, bend your elbow, little bucket dump there of that excavator. And then as the hand stays back on towards your shoulder, you're going to help it with the opposite hand, work it to not go so wide away from your body. You're kind of going to try to get your triceps towards your face, okay, and the bicep towards the ear. So once you have that little wind up there, nice straight spine, breathe in, breathe out, work the elbow up, 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 up and away. This one's much tighter on me. Okay, and then when you're ready, you're going to go lateral bend. Okay, and what I was saying on the other side, just so you can see this view, is here's the sway of my butt back when I go into a lateral bend. I want to really try to stack my body and maybe even tuck my pelvis because the lats blend right down onto the top of the sacrum. Okay, so as I lift my elbow up, my spine up, I'm going to kind of rainbow myself over and breathe. And then slowly come back, release. Feels nice, like I get some blood flow in there. Okay, and then the other one we're gonna do is hands behind the back. If you tend to be like maybe pitchers, catchers, there's a lot of snap of the wrist, and there is just in throwing anyways and in batting, but we tend to get really tight forearms in baseball, softball. So you're going to take your hands back behind you, and we'll start with just interlacing your hands. So when you go to interlace, just try to get a lot of width through the collarbones first. So width through the collarbones, I'm going to wrap and go back, and then I'll just turn this way so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so as I'm here, I'm going to interlace my fingers if I have that space, and then instead of going right away for straight elbows,
I'm going to work the proximal end of my shoulder. So I'm going to try to get my shoulders to come back towards one another as I interlace. And I'm really working my bicep wider away from my sternum, away from the center of my chest. Okay, and then as I'm here, then I might be able to glue the heels of my palms together. I'm trying to get my triceps to spin closer to one another. It's very tricky. And then I'm going to go straighter elbows as I roll the knuckles to the floor. My shoulders move away from my ears, and my ears move away from my shoulders. And I breathe. And I'll show you this way. Okay, so as I'm in this and I'm trying to really work those knuckles to the floor, the biceps away from the center of my chest, I'm going to try to take my breath under my collarbones. You have lung tissue right there, so breathe underneath. And exhale. You can start to lift the chest a little higher. So add in some of the spine to the arm motion. Lift up through the neck, through the face. Do your best not to jut your chin forward and drop your head back, but you'll lift your head and arc back if that feels good. And then you can let it go. Breathe in. And breathe out. And then gently release your arms. Okay, last one we're going to do is going to be for underneath, but we're going to do two of them together. So this one was a little bit more asymmetrical, a little more of the lat. We're going to get a little bit more of like this rotator cuff work in here, as well as some lat tissue as well, and tricep. So go ahead and you can do this, you know, if you have like a bench, you can also do this at a bench like so, where we're going to basically work on getting the elbow away from our waist and our waist away from our elbow. Okay, I'm going to work it on the ground here. So if you don't have a bench or something like that at home or wherever you're doing this, you don't necessarily have to have it, but it might be nice to be a little bit more upright when you do this. Okay, so my hands are going to come together like little prayer hands. I'm going to walk my elbows forward, and I'm kind of just in a little bit of a child's pose here of my lower body. As I rock my body back, my elbows are going to stay on the ground, and I'm going to try to keep the outer elbow down. It's not easy work at all, okay? So as best as you can, even out the weight in the elbows, right to left. And then as the body goes back, the head can come down to rest. And then I just want you to think about, okay, if my head stayed down and my belly lifted up, could I think about lifting my elbows off the floor and bringing my armpits closer to the floor? You will not be able to do it, most likely, but I want you to just think about it. So could I get a little lighter on my elbows and think about bringing my armpits closer to the floor? It'll engage something deep enough to make a change in what you're doing, and probably engage something closer to the shoulder head. Breathe. Elbows up in your mind's eye, armpits down. As the elbows go up, do your best not to let them go wide, pointing out to the sides, but keep them quite narrow and sliding forward away from your pelvis. Pelvis away from elbows. One more breath. Think elbows light. Then release. You'll slowly straighten your arms. Woo. And roll yourself back up. I think I said that was our last one, but I lied. We're going to do one more. We're going to do the hands behind the back again. This time we're going to do prayer hands behind the back, or we're working towards prayer hands, which might look like fist for you. So that felt good. Okay, so we're going to take that same position where when we interlace, it'll be the similar thing up top, but I want you to try to get your hands a little higher up, like you're going towards your shoulder blades. Okay, so it'll be a little bit more internal rotation on the shoulder. You still want to try to keep some spread across the collarbones when you do this. Okay, I just want to show you this back view. So as I'm here, here's option one. I can imagine like my knuckles are being pulled together and then my elbows are going to be pulled apart. My ribs are going to stay connected to my fists. So elbows, imagine pulling apart as the wrists or knuckles come together. Okay, and then imagine your knuckles being pulled apart as your shoulder heads follow. Shoulder heads and knuckles. It'll just give a different sensation up the shoulder. Okay, and then here's your other option. Okay, we're going to just try to bring the hands together to press. Woo-hoo-hoo. I got some stuff going on in my right forearm, so mine might look a little funky from back there. I've got some scar tissue from some fractures. So we're going to work a little bit into feeling like the pinky edge of the hand is together. The index finger side of the hand is together. And then I'm just going to try to work all of that up my back while I stay tall in my chest. Okay, and then if possible, open the elbows, open the chest, breathe in, and without collapsing the elbows in, can you slide the heels of your palms together or towards that space together? If none of this is working for you, you can always take your hands lower towards your butt and work the same pattern, or you can make fists. Okay, and you can go back to the fists. Breathe in and breathe out. And then slowly release. I need that. I need all of that work. I'm sure you do too. So hope you enjoy that warm up. Really good. Oh, I'm calling it a warm up, but it's really more of a cool down. I feel like it's more of a cool down. You can do it anytime you're having any like shoulder, wrist, elbow stuff from overuse, or just feeling like there's just a lot of tension in your arms and your body from patterns of use and overuse. So I hope you enjoy that, and happy flow and movement through your arms and your hands.